everybody. Thank you so much for coming here today. My name is PHIA, and welcome to VRCon. I am the host of the virtual reality show over on YouTube, where we talk about any and all things related to virtual reality inside virtual reality. I am a virtual YouTuber and streamer with a burning passion for VR. I talk about it all the time. I started playing VR chat a little over a year ago now, and I got my first headset for Christmas of last year. It's been a wild journey as VR quickly took over my life, and I'm pretty sure this story may ring true for a fair amount of you in the audience today. So, I'm here to talk about VR. Why is it taking over our lives? Why does it hook us in and make us addicted? And how is it slowly but surely changing our future as we know it? I'm here to talk about all of this today. A lot of people, when they think of VR, think of gaming, first person shooters where you can get right into the action and Beat Saber, but they don't think about it as much more. I know that I didn't for a long time. It was just a gag, and an expensive one at that. But after discovering VR chat, I realized there's an entire community here, and an entire community surrounding VR as a whole, and all of them are very passionate individuals. They really believe in it and love it enough to spend thousands of hours in VR. This sense of community is exactly what brought us here today. And what's even greater than that is that we are people from all over the world. It is globalized social interaction to wherever technology is available, meaning it's not uncommon to join a world and meet somebody on the other side of the planet who might not even speak the same language as you. VR chat allows from people from all walks of life to come together as well. It doesn't matter if you're young or old, what your gender or sexuality are, your race doesn't matter, and neither does where you're from. Everyone here is equal. The only things people can judge you on are your voice and personality, how you choose to express yourself with an avatar. Your inner self can really shine because you no longer have to be weighed down by worrying over a physical appearance. No one knows what you really look like. You can just be a tiny anime girl and people will love you for you. What makes VR social platforms stand out from non-virtual reality ones is a sense of presence. Here, your brain is literally tricked into thinking that the virtual environment around you is a real one. When you see people around you in VR, you feel that they're there. For some, this can even feel a sense of touch when giving a virtual hug or getting poked on the shoulder. For a lot of us, this can really fill a social gap that may be missing in our day-to-day lives, especially during COVID. For me, I moved to an area where there aren't many people around my age, and so I'm able to meet people inside of VR and fill that social gap that's missing in my day-to-day life. VR is a new form of mass communication. I'm standing here in front of you, giving you a speech who's likely somewhere very, very far away from me. I can reach dozens of strangers who feel like they're here, just as if I was standing in front of you in real life. And while I'm here giving this speech, there's also tons of players in other worlds and other games who are interacting with each other in various ways too. All with that sense of presence that we lack in something like a Zoom call. It gets addicting because of its limitless opportunities. You can be whoever you want to be here. You can visit any place you want to go. With some time and effort, you can sculpt your own reality. There is limitless imagination, and that's what's really important. And yet still, VR is more than that. Gamers are able to immerse themselves in worlds they already love and discover new ones along the way. They challenge themselves by getting right into the action and develop realistic capabilities that you don't get staring at a computer screen. VR training is now used for various jobs, especially dangerous ones. Doctors may practice surgery in VR, or workers may practice manning dangerous machinery before throwing themselves into it for real. It teaches us by doing. And I don't think I'm going out on a limb when I say that doing is the most effective form of learning. Our civilization is evolving, and so is our future. More and more people will join games like VR chat. This Christmas, more people than ever will get into VR via an Oculus Quest 2 and step into VR for the very first time. And just like us, they will stick with it until it becomes their new addiction. And if this is happening now, Imagine what high quality, cheaper headsets are to come in the future. This love we all share is going to spread like a virus across the world, and people will realize how important VR is to society. Games are going to become more immersive. They take us from a second to third dimension, and people have to build up a new set of senses for that change. We think things like Ready Player One or Sword Art Online, and while they may not be in our near future, we are starting to see technology such as omnidirectional treadmills and haptic suits happen. Eventually, these will become accessible and develop more capability and bring us closer into the sci fi future we so enviously imagine. People deny the fact that VR is blowing up, but I would argue very adamantly that it already is. People need to build up their VR stamina, but there's more reasons than ever to pick up a VR headset, whether that's for business meetings, creating 3D art, meeting new friends, or playing Beat Saber. There's a variety of experiences that can appeal to all sorts of different people, not just gamers. The biggest change that we need right now is affordability. The Valve Index or Vive Cosmos or HP Reverb G2 can be a steep climb for people's wallets. And that's not all. Enthusiasts looking for the best immersion possible also spend money on Vive tracking pucks for full body and Knuckles controllers for finger tracking, among other things. It's not uncommon to spend well upwards of $1,000 on VR to get a good experience with it. It can be really scary for those interested in VR to invest, and for others, they just just plain can't afford it. But with the Quest 2 being as cheap as a Nintendo Switch, we're finally seeing VR enter the average household. It's an exciting change and is an accessible gateway for many that are somewhat interested but don't want to commit fully. I'm really excited for a day where a headset is as common as a PlayStation or an Xbox. Just like original computers or smartphones, the tech starts off as expensive and clunky, but eventually becomes common. VR is no exception to this. VR has been pretty inaccessible for years, but that's finally changed. People are now investing in it. The money that gets thrown into this money pool leads to more innovation within virtual reality. The future is right around the corner, and I want you to consider the weight of what's going to happen. With tech like Elon Musk's Neuralink brain machine interface, we can guarantee that this tech that connects directly to your brain will eventually be used for gaming. It may start as simply clicking buttons from your head and then aiming a first person shooter gun on a computer screen, but finally it will find its way into controlling virtual reality bodies. This is when we will reach that full dive immersion as the line between what's real and virtual melts away. When a new digital universe is born. And for me, that's pretty damn exciting. Thank you guys so much for coming to my talk today. It's been a pleasure getting to speak to you all about this, and I'm so grateful to VRCon for this opportunity. So let's celebrate together what VR is and what its future holds. Thank you.
All right. At this moment, we are going to be doing questions and answers for PHIA. So for those who have any questions, it looks like I'm going to check the time here on the schedule so I can tell you how many we want there. Don't move yet. Don't move until I tell you. I know you guys are probably excited to ask some questions. Let me just check the schedule here and see how long we got. Do some maths in my head because I have to figure out when I got to do the next thing. Let's see here. Okay. I probably have about the last time we did this, that was about maybe 6 or 7 people. So the first maybe not all go, but if you guys got some questions, just make your way very organized right here. Probably behind Proto. Just start at the line right here, right behind me, and I'll count 7 people. So let's see if you guys got any questions for PHIA. That's 1. That's 2. Any more? Any other questions? Okay, it's 3. Awesome. 4, 5. 2 more. We got any takers on that? Nope. All right. It looks like you 5 are going to be asking some questions. Cool. So if when you're asking questions, just kind of stand right here on the shell, and then just speak your question very clearly, obviously, so she can hear you.
What?
And then I'm gonna just move things along, obviously, too. So if I poke in, I'm probably gonna like wiggle or something like over here if I think that we need to keep going. You know what I mean? So don't worry about me if I start wiggling. Just know that I'm trying to get things moving along as fast as possible and getting things on time. All right. Go ahead and ask your question.
All right. Hey, Pia, thank you so much for taking the time. That was a wonderful talk. Um, my question is, I agree with what you said with VR getting even bigger and it's going to continue to expand. But I mean, I've joined VR chat like 4 months ago, and I've been spending all my nights here, sleeping here, and eating here sometimes. And I was wondering, like, what are your thoughts of people, once this gets even bigger, like eventually abandoning reality and kind of switching to the virtual?
Oh, yeah, no, I think that's a fantastic question. So, I've definitely seen firsthand many people just like you who get really invested inside of VR chat, and it almost becomes, a second life. And for some people, it even goes farther and it becomes a replacement for reality. So, whatever troubles you might be having in real life, VR becomes an escape for that, right? And for a
Yeah.
lot of people, that can be a really, really good thing. If you struggle with like social anxiety and you have trouble making friends in real life, or if like me, where you live in a place where you can't make friends, and so VR is that social outlet. There's a lot of really, really good things that can come from it. However, just like all things, VR can definitely be abused, and I definitely think that there are people out there who literally do neglect their real lives because they are too invested inside of VR. And what I would say to those people is that as great as VR is, it isn't, there is an objective reality out there that has to be taken care of. You have a real body, you have a real family, you have, this real world. And as great as it is to escape from that, people do need to stay grounded in the fact that there is another life that they do need to take care of and not neglect that entirely. I think it's a really important thing to find balance. And so I highly encourage people who are super invested in VR. Like, it's a great thing to be. I am here because I love VR. I know all of us are here for it, but it is something that should be warned, is that you do have to be careful about, neglecting your real life. So that's kind of how I'd answer that
Yeah.
question.
All right. Thank you so much for your perspective.
Thank you.
Awesome. If we had the next person step up. All right, Astro, take the floor, buddy. What's your question?
Thanks. Thanks. Great presentation, by the way. It's fantastic to understand the whole concept of VR and how your thoughts about it. What's your thoughts about? It's two different questions, if you don't mind me asking. The first one is, what would you give as advice for people who start out playing VR? Like someone who's got their first head, like Oculus for the first time, being in the VR world. And second, do you think that VR should have like different options, for example, age restrictions and stuff like that, just to make sure that young people who play this game don't get involved with so much adultery kind of stuff that people sometimes do on VR?
Well, to answer your first question about what I would say to people who are first getting started in VR, well, first off, watch your wallet because this hobby gets very expensive very fast. So
I'm a PC
besides
player, so
that,
yeah.
oh yeah, it's a very expensive hobby. But once you get past the whole money part and you have your first headset, I think it's a really exciting thing, and I would encourage people to try out a whole variety of different experiences, not just sticking with one. So I think some people kind of find their little happy place and they're playing, like Half-Life Alyx and they're, Population One, like whatever little games they like to do, and they stick with that. Then there's the people who only use VR for VR chat and they don't do anything else. I would encourage people to try out as many different VR experiences as possible because there is something that caters to everyone. And I know that I've had friends before who've tried VR, but they only tried like the video game aspect and then they did not like it. They were like, this is not for me. I don't enjoy it. But later they went on and tried some other experiences like VR chat. And then they were like, wait, no, I love this. This is fantastic. So telling people to just try out as many things as they can and that they'll find something for them that's going to really, explode their world per se. Um, and then your second question, will you repeat that one to me real quick?
The second question was, a lot of young players are playing VR now and different kind of virtual reality games. Would there, could there be, do you think they'll be implementing some age restrictions to make sure that youngsters don't get involved with something so violent or something that is very rude and might jeopardize and stuff like that?
Yeah, so I have a lot of thoughts on this one, definitely. And one of the things that I'm planning to make an episode on in the somewhat near future is about VR and violence. So, in my opinion, VR is, it's a little more than just playing a video game, right? When you're at a screen, like it's very obviously a screen. However, when you put yourself inside of VR, you become part of the experience. And I think for a lot of younger players, this distinction would probably be a little harder to make. I know that most of our main headset creators like Oculus or Vive, they encourage children to not play until you're at least 13 years old. So they encourage, kids to not do it at all. And then for other people, I would even recommend I still think 13 would even be too young to play on things like VR chat because it is like a limitless social platform. And there are people who will take advantage of younger children in this game, which is,
Yeah.
not okay ever. And I do believe that, just like with any other kind of social media, like parents should probably be watching their kids. And obviously this is the parent's job and every parent is going to think differently. But in my opinion, children should be monitored because one, it's an immersive violent experience, and then two, being free on the internet with older people who can maybe abuse the sense of presence that we have in VR, to just be very, very cautious of that because there's more to it than just Beat Saber.
It is also a bit difficult, if I believe, is that parents like to just buy VR chats for someone who's under 13, just being them. I've noticed a lot of parents have done that a lot.
Yeah, no, I definitely think a lot of parents don't necessarily, and that just goes for the internet in general, that I think a lot of parents don't necessarily understand how the internet can influence young children if they have free access to it. So obviously this is, an individual choice, but for me in particular, I think it's better to protect children until they get to the age that they can totally understand and conceptualize the distinction between what is VR and what is real life and protect them from any dangers that might come with that.
All right.
All
Thank
right.
you. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, next person, come on up here, Bold. Put yourself on that clam. Ask your question.
I would just like to say you did an amazing presentation. I absolutely agree with everything that you said. Here is my question. So I'm using an Oculus Link right now. I'm using Oculus Quest. I'm thinking next year about moving to a new headset. I would like to get your perspective on which headset I should possibly get for next year.
Well, it's kind of hard to say what headsets will come out next year. So it is one of those things where some of the tech is getting a little bit older now. So we're kind of in a weird time where there's no headsets that have necessarily been super Valve hasn't announced a new headset yet, and where you don't see any consumer level stuff coming from Vive right now. But there is a few things that are kind of curious, like the Reverb is sparking a lot of interest. The Deca Gear is getting a lot of interest. That we don't know much about that one yet, so I'm not putting my eggs in that basket quite yet. But for me personally, I personally believe that kind of going all in now is an okay thing to do. So my recommendation would be to go for the Index, go for the Knuckles controllers, get the full body tracking experience. It's totally worth it. And then once you get to the point to where you're ready to move on to a better headset, there's going to be people who are more than happy to buy your old Index. Like I can promise that for a fact. There's people who can't afford it right now, but once they can get it for cheaper, you will have gotten your money's worth. Go ahead and sell that baby and get something better. So that would be my best advice to you for right now.
Thank you.
All right. So great presentation, very professional. Nice to meet you. But my question is, what is your general thought process behind getting some cool, interesting, like unique video topic ideas? And then what is your general process behind like research, scripting, making a video for
Yeah, okay.
those that want to know?
So very good questions. Thank you, Protostar. For the first one is what is the how do I come up with different ideas? So I literally have a Google Doc, okay? And it's called Virtual Reality Show Video Ideas. And every time that I come up with something in my head where I'm like, oh, that's really cool about VR, or that makes me interested, I write it down. So some kind of like potential ideas, like I mentioned, was like violence in VR. I'm interested in making an episode on that. I'd like to make an episode on people who do dancing inside of VR. I think that'd be really interesting. I'd like to talk more in depth about things like Neuralink or other types of, haptic suits and technology. And so anytime I think of something and I'm like, that sounds cool, I automatically just go to my list of video ideas and just add it onto that. And then when I'm ready to pick out a different idea, I'm usually very excited about one thing in particular, and it kind of takes over like my interest for a little while, and that's when I know that like, okay, this is going to be my topic, like I'm ready to work with this thing. And as far as my video process goes and like the whole how do I make an episode of the virtual reality show? So after I've picked out a topic, I immediately go into full-blown research mode. So I try and look up different, things on like Wikipedia or different news articles. I talk to people who I know might be involved. Like with my Phantom Touch episode, I went and I found friends who like had pretty strong Phantom Touch, and I asked them about it. I've also done, interviews with people who were, experts in different fields. Like my non-Euclidean geometry video, I went and I talked to Code Parade, who literally codes in non-Euclidean geometry for his games. And so I try and find these people who are maybe more knowledgeable than me, and I gather up all of this different information, film any interviews that I want to do and like that. And I bring it all together and I write my script. And so people will be really surprised, but I don't know why everybody's so surprised about this, but in when I'm recording my videos, I have my script all laid out perfectly in front of me. So I write everything word for word exactly how I want it. And I go into VR and I record it like that, and then I can take it and go through the editing process. So that's kind of the way that it works for that.
Awesome.
All right.
Thanks so much.
Thanks you
Thank
for the
you.
question. Yeah. All right, next guy. Let's go. Yeah.
Howdy.
What's up, Atkins?
Hi.
What was your first experience in VR and what got you into VR?
Ooh, very good question. All right. So my very, very, very first experience with VR, and I usually don't tell people about this one because it's a little less exciting than my real true first experience in VR, was I went over to a friend's house and he had Beat Saber and I played it. Okay. And I thought, I was like, oh, okay, this is pretty cool. a little anticlimactic. And that was probably about a year before I actually got into VR. So I thought it was cool, but it wasn't anything more than just like Beat Saber. You know what I mean? And what ended up pulling me into VR is that I ended up getting really obsessed with this clothing brand called Cloma. And if you don't know Cloma, it's the clothing brand that I'm wearing right now here in VR. I got really obsessed with them, and I found out that they made virtual clothing for virtual avatars on Vroid. So I got really excited about this. I was like, oh, well, if I make a virtual avatar, then I can use this, clothing brand that I love so much on it. I think that's a really cool idea. So I made this PHIA avatar and I was like, okay, this is awesome. Now what do I do with it? And that's what I found out about VR chat. And I was like, okay, so I can go into this VR chat game and upload this avatar that I have and use it to walk around and stuff and talk to people. And I was like, okay, this is awesome. I want to explore this a little more. So I started getting into VR chat and I would talk to people, and I discovered all of these worlds, and I realized that people can create anything that they want to create and upload it here, and I was hooked, right? I was like, this is fantastic. I need to get into VR now. So about this time last year, I told my dad, and I was like, Dad, for Christmas, I want an Oculus. So all my Christmas money, I got it from all my grandparents, from my parents. I chipped in a little bit, and I got, a Rift S, my very first headset. And it was on Christmas, Christmas Day, so almost exactly a year ago now, is when I opened up my headset and I got to hop into VR chat for the very first time. That was the first thing I did. And I got to go to a mirror and see my virtual body. And for me, that was probably one of the most kind of impactful moments of my life, was to see myself in VR with a VR body and, putting my hand up to the mirror and having it, reflect and being like, this is my hand. This is my body. This is, my virtual version of myself. Because I did model my character after looking like me. And that was kind of the most influential, first VR experience I ever had.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. That's all the time that we have for questions. And thank you so much, Fia, for coming out and being a lovely presentator here today at VRCon. It is an honor to have you here, and it has been amazing to hear your talk today. Could I give a nice, I guess we can't really do a round of applause without you breaking your very expensive controllers.
Smash the controllers.
So
Smash
just
the
if we could just shower the stage in hearts. Yes, or thumbs up. Yeah.
Here you go.
Give it up for
Thank you
Fia.
guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful presentation.
Appreciate
All
it.
right.
Take my money.
Oh god.
So,
Oh, gladly.
Mama's got to afford her VR addiction somehow.
Exactly.
So anyway, our next event is going to be a concert with Naku. Naku does piano and singing performance. So that's what's going to be happening up next. And so I'm going to hop away. And with that, that is the conclusion of this. And everyone's more than welcome to hop out of this event, or if you guys want to stay behind and check out everything else with one another. There's a whole bunch of booths and community things all around. If you haven't seen the VRCon 2020 map, I invite you to go ahead and use this chance to give it a look-see, eh? So I'm going to hop out. I'm going to go do my job. All right. Love you guys. Mwah.
All right. Bye, Bagel. Thank you.
Bye.
There we go.
Bye.
Thank you.
Nice.
Cool. Special thanks to this month's Patreon members and virtual VIPs, Dutech, Flukele, Private Donuts, Score Maller, and Top Waffle.